jewel box played a tune when it was opened. The works had run down.
So you remarked.
She sat all a-glitter in front of the great mirror, hung about with the Lord's ransom.
Locked away now. Listed and locked away.
Necklaces, pendants, brooches, every precious stone she possessed, and her fingers still stiff with rings.
Oh, you tell it better every time.
Well, didn't I find it myself?
Shall we be allowed to forget it?
Even the tiara that hadn't been company since the last county ball.
Whatever that was.
Diamonds and rubies, she'd say. Hell's fire lane. Though what she meant by it only she knew.
And she'll not be telling us now.
I had an owl this afternoon.
Common occurrence hereabouts.
I spilled the salt and broke the plate too.
Even more common.
Warnings.
After hearing of which, the mistress ran off to adorn herself for one last time.
She'd done it before, often. Let me see what I'm worth, Lane, she'd say. Let me gloat. She died, son.
No more of that.
Sorry, cook.
Oh, this harping on death.
It's hardly avoidable with the midwife upstairs.
Now, should she have been left alone?
She knows her duties. Only 2 persons are required for the laying out. The midwife and
The mistress. She passed over before I reached her, staring at herself with dead eyes.
Vanity.
The last light she saw was the sparkle of diamonds.
How did the sinful old creature ever come by them? What did she do? Where and how often?
that is for her conduct, not ours.
Diamonds and rubies on sticks of fingers.
She was the mistress.
Diamonds and rubies on cobweb hair.
She was very particular about her hair. Save the combing, Lane, she'd say. Ice and snow go together.
Diamonds and rubies. Well, their weight alone was enough to crush her.
The jewelry was irrelevant. The doctor said a seizure was possible at any time, and from the position of the body, he said death must have been almost instantaneous.
Struck down in a pride.
I suggest enough has been said on that subject.
Enough! Are you still in charge, Mrs. Abernathy?
Have I been dismissed? Have I handed in my notice? I was housekeeper this morning, and I'm housekeeper this evening. Just as you are still cook, Lane still maid, and Twilly still...
Dr. Mayhaig.
I hope we all know our places.
Well, does she know hers? Wherever she is.
She remains upstairs until the funeral. Meanwhile, this house will run just as it has always run, like clockwork.
Well, the main spring's broke.
You suppose so, cook? The mistress had only one concern, that when she rang the bell, it was answered.
And it always was answered.
Well, who's going to answer now? There's nobody up there to ring.
Your attitude borders on socialism, cook. I expected a better example. I can only assume the shock has unsettled you.
She's gone, Mrs. Abernathy, to glory or otherwise, but she's gone. However so, if you say so, I'll go on listening for that bell.
The bell? In her bedroom? What does it mean?
It means the midwife called the bell.
Impudence.
Her laying out must have been completed.
Well, what of that?
Her work must be inspected, and of course the light is burned by the body constantly. Come, Twilly.
Son?
Well, if the goody needs candles, let her come down for 'em.
Even a midwife has professional pride.
Are we expected to climb stairs at a nurse's bidding?
No, cook, not you. Bring the candles, Twilly.
Mistress?
Why hang back? You weren't afraid of her when she was alive.
Won't I know? Well, you better keep close behind, or you'll be left in the dark.
Door! Afraid? Well, it takes imagination to be afraid, and she's got no more imagination than a turnip. You're pale, though, Lane.
Well, so unexpected.
Did you imagine her hand on the rope? Dead men don't walk, and dead women don't ring bells.
She was a woman of character.
A determined old devil, but some deeds are beyond even her. You're all a quiver. A quick reviver before the others come down.
I don't believe that she reached for the bell rope, but if such a thing were possible.
She'd have found a way. I'll grant she had spirit. She was witching men to her bed when other grannies would have been nursing their rheumatics. Her past was as plain as the paint on her face.
Well, if you felt so bitterly towards her, then why did you work in this house?
Why did you?
A place is always a place.
Was that all? Now don't spill the liquor. None of the stuff from this bottle was ever burned over a pudding.
Or a gem, Lane, she'd say. She'd never have to ask for anything. I knew what was in her mind. I anticipated.
Well, to your good health and a better colour.
A jewel, aren't you, Lane? We look at each other in the mirror.
That should do something for you.
Those black eyes, blazing back in the glass. Old women have faded eyes like water, but hers, they shone like burning coals.
A jewel, eh? Well, she'd never let you out of her clutches then. No jewel ever slipped through her fingers.
Those black eyes that looked right inside you.
So, she wore the full collection at the end, eh? Every piece.
Right through to your thoughts. You don't were hidden.
At a time, surely.
You can help with the thinking.
Though, I suppose there were places where the others might have dangled.
Night to night, as we handled the stones. What's one to think about at such a time?
Well, why should you be so uneasy now?
Uneasy? Blood and tears they've cost, she'd say. Blood and tears. Oh, nothing gleams like them.
Yeah. Well, they're listed and locked away now.
Yes, the lawyers will need a list, and Mrs. Abernathy writes a beautiful hand.
There's education for you.
I remembered every piece.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. You handled everyone as we went back in the box.
For the last time.
Well, there's temptation out of the way.
Why do you say that?
You said she knew what you was thinking.
I was thinking. Every stone has its story. Mostly of wickedness, though.
You didn't list the stories.
Well, they're less they're forgotten. Buried with her.
Well, if she'd have had her way, the Jews would go the same road. Well, she'd lose her grip on life sooner than she'd lose her grip on them.
How can you imagine such nonsense?
Don't you? I see what I see, and I speak my mind.
Pepper and mustard are all very well in the kitchen, but the lady's maid has to learn discretion. Footsteps on the stairs. You'll be discreet in front of the midwife, I hope. You don't want gossip in the village.
Whatever's said here, there'll be gossip there.
In here, Trilly.
I just want the water.
Come into the kitchen.
Won't take but a minute.
I told you to wait.
I'm carried this water down 4 flights.
Then set it on the floor. But don't stir a finger until I give you leave.
Oh, running downstairs is a great game for them as knows the course. But it holds pitfalls for beginners who can't tell a twist from a turn.
I held a candle.
So far in front, it acted like a jack-o'-lantern. I'm thankful to have my feet on solid flags again. A restorative wouldn't come amiss.
You've done all that had to be done.
All that can be done after the spark has flown, washed and shrouded with pennies on her eyes. The poor lady was taken unawares, eh? We were all taken unawares. But her most of all, I reckon. Well, I've never been one for intruding on private grief. I'll show you the door.
No, Trilly.
At such times, there are some as takes to stimulants, and some as prefers oblivion. Myself, I'm impartial between the teapot or the bottle, whatever happens to show up.
Mrs. Boone can
Even teetotals offer tea!
Pardon our lack of ceremony tonight.
Oh, thank you very much.
Take this candle. You can leave it by the door.
Put that way, I'll leave you too. I can.
No, Trilly.
I wouldn't accept now if asked. I'll put a candle.
No, Trilly. Where is it, Trilly?
Now, this is my kitchen, Mrs. Abernathy. Perhaps you'll have the goodness to...
Where is it?
Where is what?
Trilly knows.
I don't know nothing, Miss Abernathy. Never did.
Hand it to me.
I haven't got nothing to hand.
What would you have done if I let you out of my sight? Hidden it in your shoe? Slipped it under a mat? Swallowed it?
These are riddles, Miss Abernathy.
You know the answers. What did you pick up, Twilly?
Pick up?
I didn't pick up anything. Only the pants on. There wasn't nothing else near the bed.
Or under the bed, Twilly? Deep in the pile of the rug?
Anywhere. My goodness, you have to be quick for that. I'm not quick. Never was. Too slow to let a lice crawl off you. Cook says I could never take any advantage.
I saw you.
You were turned away standing over her.
It gleam in the candlelight, flashing across the mirror like a shooting star.
I did see nothing in the mirror.
What was it, Willie? And what have you done with it?
Cross my heart.
Hand it to me.
Haven't got nothing to hand.
Hold out your hands, both together.
See?
What was that?
I never had nothing to drop.
Twinkle, twinkle.
I never found no ring.
Oh, we're always sweeping down the rings off this floor, Mrs. Abernathy. Some careless folks around here.
Lane and I removed her jewellery most carefully.
It could have hardly been nice to tempt a midwife.
Temptation indeed. But this confection,
Who knows how it came to fall by the bed?
or how long it might have gone on lying if Twilly hadn't
I'm not a thief. It got on the floor in my hand.
Why, with the mistress lying so close, what would she have said if she'd known?
If I had said nothing.
She treasures her little keepsake, she does. If she'd have guessed, well, she might have risen up and
Don't say those things. I was only going to give it off.
Then why didn't you?
I only wanted to hold it for a while. Maybe you fancy what it's like to have rings on your fingers. What's to happen now?
Well, I expect it'll join the other trinkets, Mrs. Abernathy.
What else?
I mean, what's to become of me?
Ah, what indeed? We must consider.
I never thought.
True, Twilly, never.
I never stole. You know that. Mistress knew it.
Oh, well, then perhaps that's why she didn't rise up and... Ow! Stop your bawling and empty that water away. Wash and dry it well afterwards. Yes, Mrs. Abernathy?
The ring, cook.
Oh, Twilly didn't think. How could she without the equipment?
It has to be lost safe.
Now, I've been thinking, though, how came this pretty little thing to be missed when everything else was listed so carefully?
If it dropped silently, unobserved.
Put the other way, how came it not to be missed? You remembered all the others so clearly, what with their stories. This one spins a fine yarn all its own.
Oh, you've been at the brandy.
I have indeed. Never tell a lie when the truth serves just as well. But what have you been at?
Aspersions?
The mistress ablaze with the royal ransom, Lane. Only you and her knows exactly how much. Well, what if it didn't all find its way back into the box? Who's to know? Who's to miss a sparkle or so?
Is that an accusation?
Who's proof against temptation? Not me, I'll admit. Not even Mrs. Abernathy.
Oh, so your insinuations extend to me? You forget your place, cook.
I don't have a place, Mrs. Abernathy. No more than you, Lane, or silly Twilly. Who pays wages when your employer's underground? Well, it's back to the registries and advertisements again. Experienced housekeeper, lady's maid, plain and fancy cook. But what do we live on in between households?
That is your problem?
So you've solved yours then. You two were closeted for an hour before the doctor's pony and trap.
You are well aware of what we were about.
Too true.
Lane, you witnessed the slander.
Witness more than that, I'll be bound. Well, whatever was done in a hurry. More haste, less speed. How else came such an item of value to be overlooked?
I warn you, if you repeat this monstrous
The
fabrication...
fat would be in the fire, wouldn't it?
Well, now we've not all been corrupt in our dealings with tradesmen. Sure, we all know about short weight, commissions, and a little extra on the bill. And some of us know what loyalty is.
Oh, we all know what loyalty is. We all serve that bundle of corruption faithfully. But she's no more. And now our loyalties lie in different directions toward ourselves. Could that have been in your line of reasoning, Mrs. Abernathy?
I deny it.
No matter. We've reached the same conclusion. Here.
What?
The ring, Mrs. Abernathy. Take hold of it and put it with the others.
Add it to the rest?
You know what I mean.
A sudden conversion.
And now we're split 3 ways equal.
No!
You've no choice, Lane. Consider it my subscription to the general fund. It'll fetch a fair return at the right pawn shop. You won't be so much out of the final reckoning.
I have agreed to nothing.
Well, not in so many words. But there's no need for words when there's an understanding. We understand each other, my dears. And her up there, she understands us too. Well, she'd want to reward good and faithful service.
She rang.
I don't believe it.
You heard?
I still don't believe it.
The bedroom bell. Her room.
That room's empty.
Well, except for her.
Alone.
She's dead.
Is she?
The doctor pronounced her dead, and the midwife agreed.
Could you have slipped the rings from her fingers while she lived?
But a bell.
What's a bell? A thing at the end of a system of wires and pulleys. There's nothing mystical about a bell. The system breaks, and the bell shakes.
The bell don't shake unless somebody shakes it.
Anything touching the wire can move the bell.
Well, there you have it. Settling beam, wind under a board, or rat at the woodwork. Certainly not an old woman lying at peace for the first time since childhood. Well, whatever moved it once could move it again.
It's not natural.
Whatever the cause, it must be natural. We live in a scientific age. A bell works according to mechanical principles, and there must be an explanation. If only we knew it.
But what?
Well, be satisfied there's an explanation.
Yeah, that's
somewhere.
right. Be satisfied and forget it happened.
But it did happen. She'll be expecting an answer.
She didn't ring.
The mistress had one concern only. That when she rang the bell, that it was answered. It always has been answered. At once.
But we're too used to bells. Bells ring and we dance like dolls on wire.
Well, who's to go up?
Go up.
Nobody's to go.
She'll be waiting.
There is nobody up there. Nobody in this house but us three and Twilly.
Twilly.
Oh, Twilly.
Could she have?
She could. She's used to running up those stairs. She could be up there in a minute.
You see, it's Twilly. Only Twilly. Is this her idea of revenge?
Simple soul.
I'll take a broomstick to her. That's right. Pull the bell rope, Twilly. Enjoy yourself before the reckoning. Are you laughing, Twilly?
I'm not laughing, Cook. Should I be?
Twilly.
It's not Twilly. It's me, all right, Miss Lane. What do you want?
Shut the door and shut up.
Well, what's to be done now?
Nothing.
We must...
Don't stir.
Somebody must go up.
Why?
Because the bell was always answered.
Superstition.
A bell is always answered.
Even when there's nobody at the other end.
If a bell rings, somebody must be there.
Nobody we're answerable to.
How are we to know?
Because we're not answerable to anybody now.
Well, we always shall be. For us, bells will always be ringing and we'll always be answering to them.
Well, not in this house.
Why not here as well as anywhere else?
Well, then have Twilly answer it.
Answer the bell, Twilly.
Me?
You were engaged for that. To make up fires, to carry water, to trim the lamps. You are wanted in the mistress's room.
But there's no fire up there and I spoke the water down.
Well, if the bell rang, something must be needed.
She's up there.
She can't hurt anyone.
Did she ring the bell?
How could she?
Then who did? And what do you really want? Do you want to get rid of me again? On account of the ring, I'm sorry I ever picked it up and I've forgotten about it. If you want me out of the kitchen, I'll go sit in the schoolroom. I didn't mind the schoolroom if you want me out of the kitchen. But why must I go to her room? Because the call came from her room. It never, how could it?
You can tell us, Twilly, when you come down.
I'm to go up there.
You're slow, Twilly,
I've always been slow.
but not usually so slow. There'll be a new reference very soon. Shall I write slow but willing, or very slow and surly?
I'm not willing. All them stairs and only one candle.
There are 4 candles blazing in her room. I lit them all myself. You need only open the door, and if there's no call for your services, then return.
If there's no call for my services, then why must I go?
Because we can't tell, can we, Twilly? Who is calling for what?
Must I?
If you wish to leave this place with any sort of character, you must. If you ever wish to enter the service again, you must. And if you don't wish to end up in a ditch or a workhouse, you must.
I must. Why?
Who knows?
That?
And more.
And more. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So I was taught.
The heart was always with your treasure.
Well, you can't take it with you, that's what I was taught. though I shouldn't be surprised in her trying.
Should this be returned to her jewel box? Should the others be replaced?
Should she be buried in full regalia, with a fortune glittering on her shroud?
Well, that should be a futile gesture, if not outright heathen.
Well, one gesture makes as much sense as the other. Who's to benefit from her treasure now? Strangers. She never owned to a family. But who ought to benefit? Who did most for her? Us, while she was here. Now she's gone, and...
Has she?
We both touched the body, already nearly cold.
But a spirit? Where is that?
In hell, if there's any justice.
What if?
I warned you about wasting money on penny romances, or you have come to swallow that twaddle.
All the same, I fear...
You, Mrs. Abernathy, never! You never feared a thing, except perhaps an unpaid bill.
Tales have been told.
For what stories? Rubbish grown on idleness.
Of seeming dead who have returned.
Name one.
I heard of a funeral service interrupted by knocking, and when the coffin lid was raised, the occupant was found to be alive.
Anybody we know?
Such an occurrence is not beyond possibility.
Well, seeing is believing.
What if we were about to witness...
No, you won't make my blood run cold, Mrs. Abernathy, but if you keep on like that, you'll scare Lane into a fit.
But
She's
what if-
that white she'd pass for a corpse
what
herself.
if seeming death were mere catalepsy?
The mistress is dead, Mrs. Abernathy, and long words won't bring her back.
But we must be practical, Cook. We three conspirators.
Conspirators?
What else? If the mistress were to revive, what would be her first reaction?
Well, she'd lose a flood of language fouler than a tinker's, and then she'd ring.
She'd ring.
Pinning the mistress, where would her thoughts fly first?
To the jewel box?
Which was removed.
For its own safety.
Or she'll demand it.
You slip from wood to will.
We must be prepared.
For miracles.
Articles of value are no longer where they once were, and if she discovers their loss...
She can't in her condition.
If she should...
It's a long road from if to is.
Perhaps we should...
Yes. Now.
No. I came late to this conspiracy, as you call it, but I'll have a voice in it. Once those Jews have been put back, you'll never have the courage to take them again. You grabbed them on impulse. And once they're back in their box, you'll dink her and dink her until lawyers have taken possession.
Would they belong to her?
They did while she was alive.
She may be alive still.
She's not.
Well, then who rang the bell?
Well, yet Twilly will tell us.
You saw the mistress.
Which as you last saw her?
You saw clearly.
Her eyes still closed.
The hands folded.
Her cheeks waxy, still without colour.
Had she moved?
No sign, no part of her.
Her head. The clothes. Her lips.
No sign of life.
Thank you, Twilly.
So, there's no more to be said.
Nothing more to discuss.
The articles in question stay as they are.
Agreed.
Well, the questions won't go away, such as who and how and what. Well, if one answer didn't work, then we should look for another.
We'll do no such thing.
I suggest you retire.
Oh, to bed.
Today has been full of incident. Tomorrow's load may well be heavier. With undertakers and attorneys, we shall need our wits. But right now, we need sleep.
We sleep with her in the house.
Are you going to stay awake until the funeral? 3 days without sleep, and you'll be seeing ghosts in earnest.
Well, if ever a spirit was earthbound, hers would be.
If again, confound your ifs.
We won't lose hope so easily.
None of us is given the option. Naked I came and naked I'll go, if you're part of the preacher's expression.
When one is cold, one is cold.
She was cold sudden, but she waked.
Well, then what's calling now? What draws her? The likes of that ring?
You forget yourself, Lane. You forget whose company you are sharing.
Blabber at that rate. And it's not only company we have to share.
That will suffice, Cook. In a house of mourning, we preserve an atmosphere of calm. We speak when we need to speak in such terms as befit the occasion. I shall order the list tomorrow. I believe the mistress would have wished it so.
Well, what happened happened.
Nothing happened. A minor fault in the communication system. It has not been repeated. We had only one fear, an outlandish possibility, which Twilly has just dispelled. Do you see how infectious your hysteria has become, Lane? Now Twilly loses control. Stolid, thick-skinned Twilly, who has just seen the mistress at peace.
She hasn't.
What?
I didn't see no mistress.
But you told us.
I didn't beg her off.
You lied!
Oh, you're dismissed.
I told myself I hadn't even my feet would move.
As from this instant.
I was after hearing other feet. After.
Other.
Up above.
A board creaked.
No.
Boards are always creaking.
Boards don't slip and slither. Slip and slither feeling the way. Slip and slither on the stairs.
Heard. She heard. The doctor.
No need. She's quite cold.
She stood at the door.
She knew what we'd done. Is there a fury strong enough to raise the dead?
Who knows? But you can't lie there.
She said,
Twilly, give a hand.
everything we took, she said.
What? Now, when you come for a character...
I reckon I've got as much character as anybody here. How much was took? No matter. I want to share. Think what you're asking, Twilly. I know what I want.
Then you shall have it.
What if what's share and everything come to?
The price has yet to be calculated, Trilly. You heard.
I heard.
Who knows what has yet to be paid? Who knows?